Okay, today we are making our Italian sausage, white bean, and vegetable soup. So in my pot over here, I have my Italian sausage already broken down and starting to cook. So I've just taken the Italian sausage. You can take it out of the casings, or you can make your own. So there is a link in the video to our homemade Italian sausage. And you're just going to cook that in this nice pot here, breaking it up with the back of your spoon until we get nice small pieces. We're looking for something that's going to fit on a soup spoon. Now, this being my own, it's a little bit leaner today than some of the store-bought Italian sausage. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil here. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to add my vegetables. All the vegetables except for the kale. So what I'm looking for here is I want to sweat the vegetables. So I just want to soften them up. The onions will start to become opaque, and that's kind of when we know it's ready. Want to get it covered in all that beautiful olive oil in there. Mix in that sausage. I have this at about a medium heat right now. To help this move along as well and start building those flavors, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Okay, so as far as vegetables in my pan right now, we have onions, carrots, we have celery, we have fennel, and we have peppers and leek. But I want you to kind of use whatever's kicking around, whatever's fresh at the markets. You know, in the summer, you could throw in some zucchini in here. If you didn't have a leek, throw in a little bit extra onions. Just kind of have a little bit of fun with it. Mushrooms would go nice in here as well. So while this is sauteing, I'm also going to add a little bit of garlic. I'm just letting this go for a minute or two before I add the garlic. If I do throw the garlic in too early, there's always a chance that the garlic could burn. We don't want that to happen. It just turned everything bitter. So we add our minced garlic a little bit more towards the end of the sauteing. Just stir in here, make sure. Now, if you find when you're doing this, it's still not enough oil, you can add a touch more oil in here as well. Can't go wrong with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, so I'm going to add my garlic now. We'll just mix that up. Now we'll kind of keep a really good close eye on it. You can tell I like to cook with garlic, so I always have a little bit in the fridge. I kind of puree it up in the food processor, put a little bit of oil in it so that it doesn't oxidate and turn green. And then I've always got like a little bit of fresh garlic ready to go whenever I need it. Okay, so we'll give this another minute here. While we're doing that, we'll talk about the kale that we're going to add. So I've trimmed the kale. I've got it in some water here just to clean it off. Now when I'm cleaning it like this, I just want to agitate it around, and then I'm just going to pull it out this way. Now when you're adding kale, you could add chard to this, you could add spinach, you could add collards, whatever's available. Right now we are middle of March. The stinging nettles are starting to come to the market. The foragers are starting to get those. Stinging nettles would be really cool in this for this time of year. One thing when you're adding your greens, I always want you to keep in your mind when you're doing a soup, whether you're cutting the vegetables, breaking down the sausage like we did here, cutting your greens, you want everything to fit on a spoon, a soup spoon. So you can see like the green, I'll put it in this one here. It fits nicely on the spoon. The last thing you want is things kind of drizzling over or draping over the side. Your guests are trying to eat it, and you got this big thing of kale, and it ends up on their shirt or their dress. So always make sure that you cut your vegetables, your greens, whatever it is, according to what the size of the spoon you were using. Okay, we're just going to quickly go back to our pot here. And our onions are starting to turn translucent. Really smell that. Oh, it's beautiful, the smell from that Italian sausage. Now, a soup like this, you know, good quality vegetables make all the difference. But the biggest difference maker here is the Italian sausage. You want a good quality Italian sausage. A lot of small producers they get sausages made that they sell along with their meats. So find a really good one, lots of flavor, or make your own. You know, some of the big supermarket Italian sausages some of them are full of filler. They're not the freshest herbs. You want something that is top quality, because that is just going to work its way right throughout this recipe and make for an amazing soup. Okay, vegetables are soft now. The garlic is softened up. Now we're going to start adding our liquid. And I'm just going to add some water, like so. Just going to turn up the heat a little bit. So medium-high now. Oh, that just looks good. Water. I like my soups to be very clean flavored soups. So I use a lot of water in my soups. If I'm doing a soup that has chicken in it, I'll use chicken stock in that. I'm not a huge fan of vegetable stocks. I've worked in so many restaurants where, you know, they just throw all their garbage cuts of vegetable, boil it up, and then that becomes the veggie stock they throw in all their soups. The problem with something like that is, you know, sometimes it tastes like mushrooms, sometimes it tastes like fennel, sometimes it tastes like leeks, and it gets really muddy. I want clean flavors. And that's why it's important that you get good sausage. It's important that you source really good seasonal vegetables. I'll probably one day I'll have to do a vlog or something on my whole thing with stocks. You know, they're not a garbage dump for all your odds and ends. A good stock is a beautiful thing, but a bad stock can wreck so many things. So I've got my water in here. Now I am going to add some tomato paste. Just like so. About 4 tablespoons. Off to the side. We'll give that a stir. Don't want to lose the pot there. Now I'm going to add my chopped kale. Again, just taking off the water there. We'll throw that in. Like so. Clean our cutting board there. We'll give that one little stir. Now we're going to let this simmer. You can put a lid on it if you would like, or you can turn it just down nice and low. And I want to simmer this till the vegetables are nice and soft. So the kale will lose some of the volume as it cooks down. But you can already see, I mean, this just looks like a beautiful, healthy, tasty soup. If you didn't have Italian sausage, you could do this with like a chorizo sausage, would be really nice in here. You could also get some really nice pancetta, dice that up at the very beginning, just omit the sausage, crisp up the pancetta, add the vegetables for that as well. So you can have a little bit of fun with the ingredients here. Okay, so we're going to let this simmer till everything's soft, and then we'll come back and finish it off. Okay, so our vegetables are nice and soft now. This has been simmering for, I would say, about 30 minutes over a low heat. You can really, the flavors are really starting to come together now. Like I always talk about, make sure you've got your tasting spoons close by. I did add a little bit of salt as I was simmering this. Always tasting as I go, always adjusting the seasoning. Now to finish this soup, all we have to do is add our white beans. So I have some white beans that I soaked overnight and cooked. Then I pureed half of them and left half of them whole. And the reason I do this is the pureed kind of adds a nice thickness to it, a little bit more of a hardiness. So in the winter, instead of doing like a butter and flour roux to thicken something up, the pureed beans just add that nice thickener to it. I'm going to stir it around. Now you could serve this with some like garlic croutons on top, some shaved Parmesan. In fact, if you have Parmesan at home that you've been grated and you get to the outside where it's a little bit harder to grate, you could have thrown that in here while you were simmering it, just for a little bit of flavor so you don't waste any of your Parmesan. Adds a nice little saltiness to it. Now I'm not going to add too many or any fresh herbs or anything to end this off. There's oregano, there's fennel seed, there's paprika and stuff in the Italian sausage. So there's lots of flavors happening in there. I do make my Italian sausage a little spicy, so I'm not going to add any chili flakes to this. If you want it a little bit spicier, you can add that. I'm just going to grab my salt and pepper. We're going to give it one last taste here. A bit more salt. And a bit more pepper. Then I'll give it one last seasoning. Go through lots of tasting spoons in the house here. That's really good. One more little splash of salt. Okay, so you could serve this right away. It's better to cool it down. Refrigerate it overnight, reheat it the next day. Like with most soups, it gets better as it sits. You can keep this in the fridge 2 to 3 days. You can divide it up into smaller containers and have some in the freezer. You'll notice with a lot of the soup recipes, they do make about 4 or 5 liters. And I do that on purpose because if I'm going to make a batch of soup and go to all this work, I want enough for a couple of meals. So I always have deli tubs or some kind of container in the freezer with my soups. Just a nice, quick, easy lunch whenever you need it. Appetizer for dinner. So go home, or you're probably at home watching this. Try this. It's a really good soup. It's great year-round. In the summer, like I say, you can play around with the vegetables a little bit. If you don't want to puree up some of the white beans, you can leave them whole, leave it a little bit more brothy. Just have some fun with it. Make it your own. Enjoy.